You know, it's one of those things you learn in biology class and just kind of accept, right? Plants have chloroplasts and mitochondria. Animals, we just have mitochondria. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do plants have two power plants while we only get one? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this fascinating biological puzzle. I mean, it really does seem like a paradox when you think about it. If a chloroplast is basically a solar-powered food factory, why would a plant need a second organelle just to burn the very food it just made? And on the flip side, why on earth didn't animals evolve this incredible ability to make food from sunlight? We're going to solve this mystery piece by piece. So, the very first clue to solving this is understanding that these two power plants are not doing the same thing. Not even close. They have completely opposite jobs. They're not redundant at all. They're more like two essential but very different tools in a toolbox. Okay, think of it this way. Chloroplasts are the construction crew. They perform what's called an anabolic process. They build things up. They take simple stuff like carbon dioxide and sunlight and construct these big, energy-packed food molecules. Mitochondria, on the other hand, they're the demolition crew. They do the opposite, a catabolic process, where they break that food down to release all that stored energy. You absolutely need both to run a city, and a cell needs both to function. And when you look at it like this, you see this beautiful, perfect symmetry. The chloroplast takes in sunlight and CO2, and what does it spit out? Glucose and oxygen. And what does the mitochondrion take in? You guessed it, that very same glucose and oxygen. Its output is ATP, which is the actual spendable energy currency of the cell, plus the CO2 that the chloroplast needs to start the whole cycle over again. It is a perfect, self-sustaining loop. So, we've established they have totally different jobs. But that brings us right back to that first big question. Why does a plant, the ultimate food maker, even need a separate system just to burn the food it literally just created? And here it is. This is the absolute key. While chloroplasts do make a little bit of ATP during photosynthesis, that energy is locked up. It's for internal use only. It cannot leave the chloroplast to power the rest of the cell's activities. It's kind of like a factory that has its own private generator, but it can't send any of that power out to the city grid. The glucose it makes, that's the real product it exports. And then, of course, there's the really obvious problem. Chloroplasts run on sunlight, so what happens when the sun goes down? The whole factory shuts down. But the plant is still very much alive, right? It still needs a constant supply of energy for all its vital functions: growth, repair, moving nutrients around. If it didn't have a backup plan, every single plant on Earth would die the moment the sun set. And this is where mitochondria become the absolute heroes of the story. They are the plant's 24/7 power grid. They take all that glucose that was stockpiled during the day and they burn it, providing a steady, reliable stream of ATP to every single part of the plant all through the night. They are the essential, non-stop power source that keeps everything running. You know, it's also really easy to forget that a huge part of a plant never sees the sun at all. Think about it. The roots, deep underground. The woody parts of a stem. Seeds buried in the soil. None of these have chloroplasts. They are 100% dependent on mitochondria to break down the sugars that are shipped down from the leaves. Without mitochondria, a tree would basically just be a pile of leaves with no trunk or roots. Okay, so that totally solves the plant mystery. Now let's tackle the second half of this puzzle. If photosynthesis is so amazing, why don't animals have it? Why did we evolve to be energy consumers instead of producers? And the answer is actually really simple and kind of brilliant. Animals took an energy shortcut. Instead of investing all that biological machinery into building food from scratch, animals decided to just outsource the job. We let plants do all the hard work, and then we just eat them. We are what you call heterotrophs. We consume organic molecules that are already good to go. The animal energy strategy is just ruthlessly efficient. Step 1, find and eat food that a plant already spent all day making. Step 2, use our mitochondria, which are incredibly good at this, to rapidly burn that food and generate enormous amounts of ATP. It's a simple and brutally effective eat and burn model that powers our entire kingdom. And this really shows you why chloroplasts just wouldn't work for animals. I mean, could you imagine a lion having to sunbathe for 8 hours just to get enough energy for a hunt? Or a whale in the deep ocean with useless solar panels on its back? Photosynthesis is completely incompatible with an active lifestyle. It's too slow, it's totally dependent on sunlight, and it just can't generate the explosive power needed for rapid muscle and nerve activity. So why this huge split in the tree of life?
Well, the reason for that goes back billions of years to two separate world-changing mergers in the ancient history of life itself. Okay, so picture this. About 2 billion years ago, some ancient host cell swallowed a bacterium that was amazing at using oxygen to release energy. That bacterium became the mitochondrion, and it was such a massive upgrade that all complex life got it. Plants, animals, fungi, you name it. But then, about 500 million years later, a cell that already had mitochondria did something extra. It also swallowed a photosynthetic bacterium, and that lucky cell was the ancestor of all plants. That second merger created the chloroplast, an exclusive add-on feature for just one branch of life. Just let that sink in for a second. This incredible planet-shaping event, the birth of the chloroplast, it only happened successfully one time. It was an unbelievably rare evolutionary jackpot. Animals and fungi, we just weren't part of that particular lottery. We stuck with the original, universal upgrade, the awesome power of the mitochondrion. So, let's bring all these pieces together and give the final verdict on why our cells and plant cells are the way they are.
What evolution ended up creating was this perfect planet-wide division of labor. You've got the producers, the plants, using their exclusive chloroplasts to create all the food and oxygen that fuels the world. And then you've got the consumers, that's us, using our super efficient mitochondria to burn that food and oxygen, completing the cycle by breathing out the CO2 that the plants need. It's a planetary partnership.
Ultimately, it just boils down to this one simple, elegant truth. You just can't. The very things that make an animal, moving around, living in the shade or underground, needing tons of oxygen and energy on demand, all of it is just physically and metabolically incompatible with the stationary, sun-drenched lifestyle of photosynthesis.
So, this ancient split, this cellular division of labor between the makers and the takers, it created this incredible, stable balance that has powered our entire world for over 1 billion years. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world where that ancient balance is now being seriously tested, what happens when it gets disrupted? Definitely something to think about.